So it's Saturday morning, the sun's out, so we just thought we'd get out and get a few miles. I had a quick look over the bike. It's only got 2 miles on it, so we just quickly thought we'd check the tyre pressures, the oil and the coolant is all good to go. It is only 4 degrees out there, and I don't think the S22s are going to particularly enjoy the very cold roads, but we'll see how we get on. We're just desperate to get a few miles on this bike, get it running. How I tend to run a bike is for the first 50 or 100 miles, I do actually take it very easy, get the oil up to temperature, and then just start to bring it up, bring the RPM up. Once I've done 100 miles on it, then I will start making higher and higher excursions into the RPM range. But let's get out, let's see what the Honda Hornet is all about. It's a bike really that I'm really looking forward to riding. Let's see what it's like. Well, first off, let's put the mirrors in the right place. Oh dear. Well, I'm 6'2", and allegedly this is a fairly small 600 size bike, but it actually feels fairly comfortable to ride for a start. Gearbox is Honda smooth. They certainly haven't compromised on the gearbox when hitting that target price. Well, for a Euro 5 bike it actually feels very smooth, and generally speaking they take a little bit of running in. You can generally feel the difference in how free the engine is. Within about 50 miles you should start to notice the difference. We haven't done anything to the suspension yet. It is as it came out the factory. I'm about 16 stones or thereabouts with my riding gear on, so you could probably do with stiffening up a touch, I guess, when we get it back. Take that to my local suspension specialist, the Road Track and Trail, because what I normally use for that. It's pretty good at setting suspension up. There's also another gentleman called Toit in Preston that I've used a few times. He's very good as well. Now allegedly baby Cal is almost ready, so do you know what, I'm just going to ride past his house. He's actually just got delivered a BMW S1000 RR, and that needs running in. Let's have a look at this little beauty. Oh, this looks nice. I know I can't move. Oh, yeah. Alright, I'm absolutely unfamiliar with this switchgear. I have no idea what anything does. I'm sure we find out on the way. So I'm just running it in standard mode at the moment. Does feel a touch lazy on the throttle if I'm honest, but let's give it a few miles and then we'll switch it to sports mode and see how that feels. Tell you what, this quick shifter feels really smooth, even shifting up and down at low RPMs, which a lot of bikes don't like much, but she's coping with it really well. I mean, even at 4,000 RPM it just clicks into second gear from first. Most Euro 5 bikes, they always seem to have a flat spot at about 5,000 RPM. Or it's something to do with the way that the emission standards are governed or regulated. They obviously do some sort of testing around 5,000 RPM, and the manufacturers tend to lean off the fueling at that point, which in fact below 6,000 RPM they're always very lean anyway, but you always seem to get a bit of a fluttery spot at 5,000 RPM for some reason on a Euro 5 bike. I've ridden these roads thousands and thousands of times. This is our home stretch out into the Yorkshire Dales. You know what, the ECU of this place just never fails to stun. So we're still under 50 miles, so I'm not going to make any excursions above 6,000 RPM. I mean, very first impressions. The front end feels really good. It's not sporty like a Panigale, but it's not the competition. That's not the type of bike it is, or it's trying to be. I'm an absolute Porsche nut. I love Porsches, always have, and I probably always will. But a bright orange in this sunlight just doesn't work, does it? Okay, I've seen the back of this car for long enough to get a change of scenery. I don't think this Transporter looks any better. Yeah. Better be careful not to over-rev this engine. Now we're stuck behind a Peugeot. How did Peugeot cars become so boring? Well, these are the same people that bought the Peugeot 205 GTI to us, and that was an amazing car. Now look at this thing. Jesus Christ. Even my granddad would drive that. You know, this bike is nice. It's really nice. The handling is just so predictable. That front end. Switchgear just feels a little bit, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's very well ergonomically designed. Maybe it's just because I need to get used to it. Take some compromised lines here to keep off that gravel and the mud that's on the road. The farmers dragged out of the field for us. Now this has got the style EMA calipers on the front, and I've got to say they don't seem to have the same kind of feedback that I would actually expect. Obviously I still need to bed the pads in, but they just seem a little bit lacking in feel, if I'm honest. We'll come back to that once we've got a few miles on the bike. Okay, so the suspension being soft, as a consequence it soaks up these bumps rather well. Again, initial feelings here. My favourite naked bike that I've ever owned has probably got to be the Tuono. Now this is not a Tuono, but you know, I'll tell you something, it's not a million miles off. And for the difference in price, once we get it mapped up and try and get the throttle response and dial out some of that latency in the throttle response, possibly have the suspension set up, then we'll come back and revisit that comparison. Like I say, I'm not even revved the bike out yet, you know, just gauging the bottom end.
So this is by no means a full review of the bike, it's just to take you along for our first ride on the bike. If you are looking for some good reviews, Username Kit and 44 Teeth have been out on the initial launch, and we'll drop a link into their videos in the description below.
$10 grand, 155 brake horsepower, pretty much as you need on the road. Okay, I've got my little bits of gripes with it. Brakes are a little bit wooden. I'm not overly enthused with the turn indicator switch, but that's probably just me. You know, it's a little bit soft, probably just wants setting up a little bit. But for a 10 grand bike, I am so happy with this thing. The fueling needs a little bit of sorting out. But then again, for a Euro 5 bike, this is probably going to be one of the best stock Euro 5 bikes to ride. Yeah, we're going to dial out some of that latency. We're going to make it more responsive on the throttle, as it should be. But for a stock bike, I really hope you're enjoying what we bring you to the channel. Please do hit the like, subscribe and the bell icon, because we sure as hell will be bringing you more on this bike very soon.